All right, so real quick, I've already done all of the culling, but I don't know how much you know about Bridge, so I'm just going to quickly go through this with you right here. So right up here, there's a little drop-down arrow, so I can choose a horizontal layout because I like the sideways scrolling as opposed to a vertical layout, but that's right up here. I do it under the essentials, and then I go over here to folders and I find the folder that I'm working with right here. I create an untitled folder. That's for later putting them into, but you don't need to. Anyways, then I go over here to filter, and this is where I do all of my culling. So I go in star 3, which is command 3 on a Mac, or control 3, I suppose, on a PC. Anyways, I'm starring them just like you would in Lightroom, okay? So I go through and I star all the images that I want to keep. Over here, you can select just your culled images. So now those are the only ones showing up, just like in Lightroom. I have some extra ones that have extra, which if you go up here, you can label and you can see some extra ones, you know, Command Shift 6, 7, 8, and 9. I believe this one is Command 9, and it gives a blue stripe there. These are for extra editing that I have, and I do those for all of the bride or whatever that needs to go in for extra, but I realized I have a lot of them that need to go through, so I've only selected 20 right now, but there are actually more. Okay, so that's quickly how I run Bridge. And then obviously when you're over here, here's all your metadata, you know, whatever. So if you were to put in your keywords, or you know, your copyright information, I have it on my camera, but you scroll down and you can see all your EXIF data and whatever. Well, you can also do, let's move that over to about there. You can also select things based on all this stuff over here too. So if you want to find, you know, just the ones you took with the 70 to 200, you know, so it's pretty much the same as Lightroom, because basically Bridge and Adobe Camera Raw are the same thing as Lightroom combined. Okay, so then what I do from this point is, after I've got all my images culled, I do this and I bring them nice and small. So this will take just a second to small them down. Okay, so then what I would do here is, obviously I just want to see my culled images. Okay, so here's what I would do, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take like the first 3 for right now. But really, what I would do is I would take probably these first 3 rows at a time, which would give me what? How many images would it give me? Let's see here. Well, I guess it would give me 87 images. So I would probably go right up to about the middle of this, because they're all kind of the same, whatever. And then I would open up all of these into Adobe Camera Raw. But let's just do this for now. Let's just do these first 3. So we'll do these first 3, but we're going to pretend that it's hundreds of images or whatever, okay? So then I'm going to hit my control, and I'm going to tell it to open up with Photoshop. And at this point, it's going to bring me into Camera Raw, right? So we're familiar with this because we've done this before. So now we're going to select all of them, because these are all the same tone, okay? And we're going to, let's say we're going to cool them down just a hair. This one needs to be brightened up all on its own. Yeah, looks good. So now this one here, like, let's say I have, you know, another 100 images over here on the side. I'm only going to go through the ones that I need to go through if they match together. You know what? Let's do this even. Let's do this even better. Let's do this first. I really don't want to do that many images for the sake of doing this, but let's just even go up to here, because of then we have more different ones to work with here, which is really what I want to do, so that I can show you what I mean. Okay, so here I would work with this one image, right, of her. Why did it do that? Oh, because they're named differently. Yeah, okay, so anyways, I would go in here and I'm going to say, let's go ahead and bump the exposure on this one, and I see that it's a little bit crooked. So in here I would go in and I'm going to go ahead and straighten that puppy up. You can use your crop up here if you need to. this is where you can do an adjustment brush if you need to. So like, let's say I need to make her face only just a little bit brighter. Then I could do so like this. And let's say I don't like it quite so yellow and I want to tone just her face down. There we go. Then I can tone just her face down. And then it's not so quite so yellow as it was right there. Okay, so then I can go on to my next image and I say, you know, actually, I think I might just leave this. I think I'm going to straighten this one up just a little bit. And then click this. Yep, looks good. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm pretty much done with this one. This one could use just a little bit of a boost here. This one has got, these have got the blue symbols on them. Now you can even blue mark them here if you need to. You would just hit the same thing. You'd hit the command 9. The reason I would do that is so that that way I could remember that I need to bring this in because I want to do some adjustments just on this. I want to get rid of this glue. See what I'm saying? I want to get rid of the glue dot. So that's why it's got an extra mark so that that way I can go in within and just find just the blue marked ones so I can take those specific ones into Photoshop and edit those. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this because that's going to go into Photoshop for some further refining. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit as well for some extra refining. I'm going to, let's see, is this straight? Nope, this could use just a hair of a straightening. So let's go this direction. This also has an automatic straightener thing. So if you click this twice, it will already do it for you, and then you can just hit the hourglass to set it. Okay, so now what I would do with all of these, you get the point though, is I would go through, and if they're the same, then I'm going to batch them within here. If they're different, I'm just going to go all the way through, and then I'm going to hit select all, and I'm just going to say done. That's all I'm doing to them is saying done. What that's going to do is that's going to bring them back in here. You see that it jumping, it's actually applying all of those things to these images that I've just done. So basically, I'm going to go through the whole gallery and just apply that, okay? I'm never opening anything into Photoshop. Not yet. So once I get, now let's pretend that was the last image, and I've gone through and I've done all of those edits, those camera raw adjustments. I've straightened, I've used, let's even take this one in. Let's say I've gone down here, and this is one of the ones I wanted to keep, but let's say I need to make an adjustment to their faces, because obviously I do, because they're in the shade. So I'm going to come in here and do this, and I'm going to take care of their face and bring them up. This one would eventually go to Photoshop, because I just want to make sure all my bride's arms and bridesmaids' arms, like over here, are tucked in or whatever. So this one would go there. They're a little bit too cool, so I'm going to warm them up just a little, add some magenta. This isn't even one that I'm keeping, so I'm just going to whatever. But instead of opening up to Photoshop, I'm just going to click done, and that took it right back to Bridge, and it applied everything that I just did to that. So now they're all edited. In theory, right now, we're going to pretend for the sake of this video that they're all edited. With me so far? Okay, so you can see, I believe this is the one I just worked on. Yep, you can see it still retains the adjustment in the XMP file. Okay, so at that point, now I'm going to select the entire gallery. Okay, hold down Shift, click the last one, and it selects the entire gallery. So remember, all the raw adjustments have already been made. It's adjusted for color, temperature. I've ran my little brush on their faces if I need to lighten them up. So now I'm going to go up here to Tools, and I'm going to go over to Photoshop, and I'm going to go to Image Processor. So now it's going to open up this, and this is where I make all my changes here. So I have it to go to the Select folder, and I tell it to go to that Untitled folder I told you about, that you don't have to make it, but that's where it would go to. Or you can have it save it in its same location, because it's just going to save it as a JPEG. So I don't tell it to save it as a PSD or as a TIFF. I tell it just to save it as a high quality JPEG, and I make sure that the profile is the sRGB. And then I choose the action that I want to do. You know how to do all this. You just choose the one that you were looking for, and mine is going to be a Maston, and I would hit run. As soon as I hit run, it will batch edit the entire thing for me. I don't have to do a single thing. As soon as I'm all done with all of that, then I go in and I would look for these ones. These ones here are the ones I go straight into Photoshop with, and I do the extra adjusting in Photoshop for blemishes or a nip and a tuck or a whatever. These are all my extras. Once all of that is done, then I go into my untitled folder where I would have everything saved, and I would go back into here, into tools, and I would go to batch rename. And then I would go into rename in the same folder, and I put text SK because that's who they are. Sequence number, I would start at number 1, and then I would have 3 digits, and then it's going to rename everything in there for me, and then I'm done. That's my entire process, and it hardly takes any time at all.